Hey there, folks. Welcome to the edition of Stranger in a Southern Land. I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. Today on the program, I speak with Tyler Wood, Wilmington comedian Tyler Wood, that is. Actually, me and Tyler have known each other for quite some time, but I was a little unaware of that fact, because Tyler was a fan that showed up to a lot of my shows that happened on the eastern part of the state in North Carolina. And Tyler's grown up to be a wonderful and funny young man, and I'm very glad that we got to be friends. And actually, he made himself known to me when I was just doing a spot at the Dead Crow Comedy Club, where he is the house MC at, and very funny man, and I'm a fan of his comedy, that is for sure. And when I was talking to him that night, and that was almost a year ago, it was very early in me doing comedy and stuff like that, so I was very happy to talk with Tyler that night. And when I was talking to him, I'm like, eventually we're going to do a podcast together, and I'm going to get to that point and we're going to sit down and talk. And I was not disappointed how well this conversation was going to go. And then, of course, before we sat down, Tyler was joking around, go, "Oh, I guess you ran out of guests," or something like that. And I made a crack. I go, "Well, I at least know that you wouldn't turn me down." But, that's just jokingly. I wanted to talk to Tyler for almost a year now, pretty much since I saw him and he told me who he was, and I kind of remember him being a fan. But that just goes to show how wonderful it is. Like, I meet a lot of fans and I don't know what their lives are afterwards, and I don't know where they're going to go or what they're going to do with their life, but it's nice to see that a fan that I met went on to do something that I enjoy, which is comedy, and I enjoy his comedy. So I'm very happy to sit down with Tyler and talk in depth. I feel like we connected on a personal level and talk about some struggles and some depressions and some ups and some downs, and we really got into it. I was very, very happy about this conversation, that is for sure. And Tyler's just a great guy, and I want you guys to know more about him, and hopefully my audience can jump on him and be excited to see him whenever he comes to your area. But anyways, I'm very excited to be a part of the Shining Wizards Network. I can't thank them enough for all the hard work they do for me to get this out to as many people as possible and as much exposure as possible. I appreciate that. So make sure you log on to shiningwizardsnetwork.com. Also, too, big shout out to my producer, Don. And also, too, if you're looking for podcast services, if you want to start kind of what I've got going on over here, Don's your man. He's the guy that can hook you up. So for any podcast services that you would like, make sure you log on to dsct.tv. He's your guy. He's reliable. He's never not put a podcast up. He's never missed a deadline. He's reliable. I can get in contact with him pretty much 24 hours out of the day. He's the best. If you were looking for a podcast producer, Don is your guy. So make sure you log on to dsct.tv for more information about that. Moving right along, let's give you just a couple of dates. I don't want to bog you down too much and stuff like that. PWX will be around November 19th and 20th. Make sure you log on to PWX Pro. And of course, Big Time Wrestling will be around Thanksgiving weekend in Johnson City and also the Lincolnton, North Carolina area. For more information about those shows, make sure you log on to btwpro.com. And then December 6th, the all-organic open mic will be happening at the Evening Muse. Make sure you log on to eveningmuse.com. I believe the feature performer for that night is Todd Riley. Also, too, I can't forget about Queens of Combat, which will be Sunday, November 27th, which is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Queens of Combat will actually be around for WrestleCade. And, of course, also, too, Queens of Combat is the Sunday after WrestleCade as well. But for more information about that show, which is happening in Winston-Salem, make sure you log on to combatqueens.com. And as always, there's more things that are coming up and pop up last minute. Make sure you find out about those by following me on social media. That is very easy to do because I'm very active on Twitter at ManScoutManning and on Instagram at ManScoutManning. For any questions about the podcast, make sure you email me at jake@sslshow.com. Or if you're going to book me for an upcoming wrestling event, make sure you email me at manscoutmanning@yahoo.com. Now, without further ado, let's jump into this wonderful conversation with a pro wrestling fan, a very funny man, and a guy that was definitely not booked to be on this podcast out of desperation. It was a conversation I was looking forward to. No matter what I had to explain to Tyler, he probably didn't believe that. So I'm putting that here in the intro as well and making it very clear. Tyler, you were definitely one of the guys that I wanted to talk to since day one of this podcast, and at least for over a year. So I've been courting you for that long, which I'm sure he would probably make a joke about relationships right there. But I'll leave that to him. I'll leave the funny. I'll leave his story to him, and we're going to get into it right here with Tyler Wood here on Stranger in a Southern Land. Seriously, I want to leave enough time that I can maybe skip over to PT Grill and grab a burger or something.
Completely understand.
Yeah, because this is you live in a city that I love very dearly, Wilmington, North Carolina. This is the town that I said that I'm going to go to after my second divorce.
Ah.
So, like, you are living the high life to me, my friend.
Yes.
I am very jealous of the life that you live. You know, you get to do comedy in the great city of Wilmington, North Carolina, hang out and enjoy its many wonderful features.
Yep, we've got a beach, we've got a river, we've got a battleship.
Mm-hmm. A hurricane from time to time?
A hurricane from time to time. The river flooded into Water Street,
mm-hmm.
and it was just, that was probably the worst flooding we've seen in 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's all sorts of reasons to move down here.
Yeah.
From the flooding to the number one heroin addicted city in the country. So
I've heard that Wilmington's taken a left turn out of nowhere.
It's always been there. I think
always
it's
been
just
there?
That's now coming to the surface. It's like, hey, we have these good things. It's a nice older city, a whole bunch of old stuff. We had the film stuff here for a while, but that's moved out now. It's down to Atlanta. Thanks, Pat McCrory. But yeah. Yeah,
let's give tax breaks to everybody except for the people that have actually brought jobs into this town.
Right.
Still a lot of McCrory signs was driving in. That kind of concerned me.
Oh, my God. It's nothing but Trump and McCrory signs.
Yes.
It's sad.
Yeah, which we're recording. This will be released after, so we may be under an evil regime right now. We don't know.
Hopefully.
In the state or in the U.S. as well.
We're already under one in the state.
Yeah, we're already under one in the state for sure right now. But it may be a global effect now.
Oh God,
we don't know.
That is horrifying.
We can only speculate.
Did you vote already?
I actually tried to vote this morning. I tried early voting yesterday and then also today, but the line was around the block yesterday, and I was like, I'll just maybe see if I can sneak in early before I come into here. The line was double the size this morning. And I feel like that's a good sign. It's a
good sign that people are actually getting out to vote early, but it's a bad sign that so many people waited this far into early voting to do it. Because it's been going on 2 weeks or something like that. So what's your problem, Jake?
Yeah, I don't know what my problem is. Like I keep putting it off. I'm like, I'll get to it.
Putting off your civic duty?
Well, I'm gonna have to probably get up at 6:30 in the morning and do my civic duty on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's on you.
Yeah. I let the terrorists win.
You did. If you don't let your voice be heard, they win.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to make sure you yell the loudest. That's how you win.
Yell the loudest. But yeah, so... Sorry, I was thinking about my civic duty there for a second. But Tyler, you jokingly said, "Did you run out of podcast guests? Is that why you had me on the program?"
Yeah.
And that's what you feel like. I was like, no, I just knew you would say yes really easily. It's like,
which makes me feel so much better.
Yeah. I know, that's why I said it.
Yeah, but I'm super happy to be on here. It's still kind of surreal because I've seen you wrestle from I've told you this before when I was in high school back in Swansboro, and I loved professional wrestling growing up. Been a huge fan my whole life, and I've seen you wrestle in the Civic Center in Jacksonville back when I was in high school. I had no idea what I was going to do or be or anything like that. I come to Wilmington.
You're like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
That's exactly not him.
I wanted to be a professional wrestler for a little bit, but I was like, if I can just not be the man scout, that would be cool.
That guy right there? No. Fuck him.
Specifically, it was like that.
Yeah.
And then I came to college. I started doing stand-up. Then you started doing stand-up. And then we met, and I was like, this is weird as shit. Because I never expected to have a conversation with you that was in-depth. Never expected to have you in my apartment.
I was supposed to be rich and famous. I was supposed to be like, Matt Hardy, hanging out of my Corvette with my arms out, in front of my nice house with my Playboy model girlfriend.
I wanted to hang out with Fabulous Frankie Fontaine. That was my number one North Carolina independent guy. But then you'll do, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry that you're not having a podcast with Timmy Lou Retton,
and
or a Charlie Dreamer or one of the Dawson brothers. if you remember them at all.
Charlie Dreamer got me. A Joey Sylvia?
Joey Sylvia, yes.
Yeah, is he still alive? What's he doing?
That's a questionable thing. I'm curious about that as well.
Okay. Because I was like, when I first saw it, it was like probably back in 2010. It was a Ric Flair show in Jacksonville. It was when he was doing those signings, kind of. And I was like, oh, God, is that AJ Styles? Oh, no, that is not AJ Styles. I still like him, though. He's cool.
Well, were you at the show where he teamed with AJ Styles?
No, I was not.
You should have been at that show. He teamed with AJ Styles versus Ron the Truth Killings and D'Lo Brown.
Okay.
How that tag team match happened, I have no idea. Like, it was one of those Hermie Sadler shows that came around.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yes. I think that was like just a little bit before my time because I think the first show I went to was like 2009.
Yeah, that was before you could actually get the money out of your parents to go to
exactly.
wrestling event.
They're like, no, Tyler, you're not.
No.
Not right now.
No.
Not right now, boy.
Not right now. Times are tough. Times are tough. We're under a Democratic terrorist reign in North Carolina.
My parents, my mom has told me, she's like, Tyler, you are too liberal. And I was like, okay, Mom, what does that mean? She's like, go to the bathroom, look in the mirror. That's what too liberal is. And I'm like, Mom, you need to use words to explain things. You can't just go, you're a thing. Look at it. I don't know, man. It's like, Mom, let's open up a conversation here. What do you mean by too liberal? You just you like everybody too much. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
You try and pull people together and come together for a common goal. I don't like none of that.
No, we need to divide and conquer, Tyler.
Ever since they put those drinking fountains together, I swear to God, the drinking fountain industry hasn't recovered because now we only have one drinking fountain instead of the two. The drinking fountain manufacturers are
cut in half.
Cut in half.
No, my favorite thing from this election, I love to talk politics with my parents because I know I'm not going to change anything, but I like to just, it's where you can dip into, because my parents are very right-wing. I'm kind of on the left of center, but I can ask them stuff, and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And we can get in a heated discussion. But because they're still my parents, they're not going to hate me or anything. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like what it's like a barometer. And just kind of dip it in, like, oh, that's what that's like.
Okay, that's what they think. Okay,
yeah,
this is a little hot.
I had asked my mom. I was like, hey, what do you think of Hillary Clinton? Like, would you even consider the thought of voting for her? What do you think of Hillary Clinton? And she goes, Tyler, women are too emotional to lead a country.
Coming from a woman.
And I told her, I'm not going to take political advice from a woman of all people.
So you turn it around on her.
Exactly.
Goes, good call. You learned.
No, she didn't. She didn't say good call. She's like, that's why I don't talk to you about anything. That's why.
I know, Mom. I just proved you right.
Exactly.
I turned it around on you.
Let me talk to Dad right now. I need to talk to a man about this.
What's that, son? Was Mom talking about politics again?
I swear to God.
You know her tiny brain can't handle it.
She just knows cooking and cleaning, boy. You know she can't overthink things like that. Policy, foreign policy, hell no.
And as you can see, she does not have shoes on her feet, and I like it that way.
She needs to be out there taking care of the children's.
Children's. Dad, I'm an only child.
I have an older sister by about 7 years.
Oh,
so, yeah.
What was that like? She beat the crap out of you?
No, she wasn't super nice growing up, but it was like, nah. I was the favorite, just because I didn't screw up that bad. Mm-hmm. So it was like, if I got B's, they're like, well, hell, you did better than your sister. You're fine.
Jeez, was your sister like a hellion or something?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
We kind of grew up in rural North Carolina, so she was doing like with typical like hanging out with the rednecky kids and like
guys driving Thunderbirds, the T-tops down.
Yeah.
Jumping with them.
Had a few nasty breakups that like spilled out to her and her boyfriend yelling in front of our double wide trailer, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I need to get out of Swansboro right now. You're
gonna die racing them stock cars if you keep doing this. Maybe that was a line that was said.
Maybe I want to. Maybe I don't want to be with you no more, Darlene.
Why can't you support my dream, Darlene? I'm gonna be the next Bob Elliott.
Have your daddy's muffler business sponsor me. I can go places. More or less, that's what I grew up in.
I'm sorry we did not go out for our anniversary, but I had to buy a new fender.
I'll take you to Burger King next week.
I had a very similar background as well.
Oh, really?
Far less NASCAR though.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a big NASCAR fan. That's like a residual redneck trait that I have. It's like I like NASCAR, I like professional wrestling. My teeth are kind of messed up. Those are like 3 strikes against me. I should be in a trailer somewhere, but I'm not. It's like I'm glad I made it out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it's those white ghettos. Far easier to get out of.
Exactly.
Turns out all you gotta do is just get educated.
Yeah,
and
just read a book.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like real ghettos are much harder to get out of.
Yes.
White ghettos, just get educated, and you
Yep.
seem to find your way out. But yeah, I grew up in a town, 82 people, Iowa. Very Midwestern people. Went back. Very much right-wing type people. Mostly, it's more about like we don't want the government to tell us what to do.
States' rights.
Yes,
Which is what started the Civil War.
Yeah. Well, somehow like that whole concept like went over our heads. We never understood that. Like it's just like we just want to be left alone. Like I want to pay the least amount of taxes possible so I could just get by. Very similar to that. I think in my town of 82 people, 20 of those people lived in a trailer park. So that's a large.
Were you related to all of them, or?
No.
Okay.
But the funny thing is, when I tell people I came from a town that small, people go, have you been in everybody's house? I didn't realize as somebody from the small town, the concept is we just like, yep, I've been in this house. Well, I'm going to get to John's next week and then go in this house. Well, we've got to get to Old Lady Rowetter. We got to go into her house. And then I've been in everybody's house in a small town.
And then you get to leave.
Yeah. And
that's what it takes for you to be able to leave. You have to go into every house. Okay.
That's,
all right.
That's a prerequisite for college.
Okay.
You know what I'm
all
saying?
right.
Like, or, high school graduation.
University of Iowa. You've gone into everybody in your little hamlet's house.
Yeah. You go into everybody's little house. No, I wish I went to the University of Iowa.
Where'd you go to?
Western Illinois University.
Oh, that's a place I've never heard of.
No, I think people that live in that town have never heard of it.
What was the town name?
Macomb, Illinois.
Oh, I know a guy from Illinois named John McCombs.
Okay.
So probably he's a black guy, so I don't think his family owned it, but I don't know. Then again, that's the North. I don't know how that stuff up there works with race.
I think that would have happened. That could have happened and stuff like that, but there would have been. I would suspect that there would be more African Americans in that community, and there were not. It was a farming community, and they just put like a Division I college in the middle of it.
Just like, yeah, this goes here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much that's what's happened, and it was one of those things where like the state of Illinois, like, we got to put we've already got an Eastern Illinois, we got 2 Southern Illinois, and we have a Northern Illinois.
2 Southern Illinois?
Yes.
Did they go in independently of each other and then find out about each other later, or?
Yeah, that would have been weird. Like they're just like getting together for like a university like conference in the state of Illinois. From Southern Illinois, yes. Wait, there's you. Like
I haven't been in your house.
I haven't been in your house. You come over to my house, and I go over to yours, and then we meet the qualifications.
So is there like a Western Southern Illinois and an Eastern Southern Illinois?
There
or is there
might
like
be. I think there's like a Northwestern, and I think there's like a Northeastern as well.
Okay.
And Northwestern is really Northeastern, so that's confusing.
Is there a Northern, or is there just a Northern?
No, I think there's just a Northern, but there might be a North Central.
Oh, okay.
So that may qualify.
Just to be difficult.
Just to be difficult.
Okay. Does Illinois know they can name like schools other things other than cardinal directions?
Not really. And actually, that's a way how most of the Midwest is set up.
Yeah.
You have a lot of like, East Central, Northeast, Central High, Central City.
Oh, okay.
Centralville.
Okay, all right. We're getting into comic book stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. Just put like Central Borough, on top of it, or Central Burg,
Central, okay, all right.
Like that's just general directions in general areas, just give you an idea. And then roads are named, like if you want to go towards Goose Lake, it's Goose Lake Road.
Okay.
If you want to go to
very
Miles,
simple.
get on Miles Road.
I wish things were like that here.
Exactly.
Because if it was Charlotte Road, that would be a lot easier. But no, it's like Andrew Jackson Highway.
And then it turns over to 74, and then it's an Interstate 74. And then when you get down, you're driving, and it's 70 miles per hour. Then you get around Whiteville, and all of a sudden it's 15 miles per hour.
Why?
Because the cop is sitting on the other side of the sign, waiting for you to go over. Like, you're getting a ticket, but I could like decelerate from 70 miles an hour to 15 miles per hour. Fast enough for you. And that's physically impossible.
He just wants an excuse to race.
I have gotten 3 tickets in Whiteville County. 3. I've gotten 4 in Virginia.
What are you doing?
Driving?
Making
Making towns?
Are you the guy that wants to be? Are you Darlene's husband? Is that what's going on here?
Listen, this whole podcast was a big reveal for that. I have come all the way back around. Obviously, you can tell I'm much older than what I look.
Yes.
And I look very old to begin with. So,
you're 59?
that would be about right, yes.
Wow.
At least I feel that way.
Yeah.
My knee may be 85. So, yes, that's me. This whole podcast was a reveal. That's why I knew exactly the line of dialogue that was taken with Darlene. Mm-hmm. I actually was deeply in love with the Darlene. So
really?
We've come full circle.
Wow.
Yeah.
For real? Were you in love with the Darlene?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was a torrid relationship.
Was that an Iowa relationship or was that a North Carolina?
It was something that happened in. It's a longer story.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a very long story. Actually, I have a very long bit about it, so take that, put that back on.
Okay. Yeah, you're like, okay, that's for a show.
That's for a show.
You act like I haven't been using material here and there. Mm-hmm. On this.
On this?
Yes.
Oh, so that's how much of a pro you are.
Yeah, well, pro. That's how shitty of a talker I am. That's
I have to use material that I use on stage and has been road tested for this conversation with another human being.
I do that not just in podcasts, but I'll do that in everyday conversation where it's like, oh, this isn't going well. And they start laughing. I'm like, okay, good. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna fade into the back now.
Well, at least you do it naturally. To me, I'm like, okay, I have a bit about this. Listen to it step by step. This is how we go. And then afterwards, I'm like, I am a moron. I should never have done that. And also, too, that definitely killed it because every time I do it, nobody laughs. But that's my best joke. Why don't you like it?
I think it's all the setup because it's really weird once people ask you to tell a joke and then you do it and they're like, yeah, I mean, yeah. And it's like it's different. When they know a joke's coming, it takes some of the surprise away from it, and that's what's important to jokes.
Because it's a magic trick.
Yes, exactly.
It's a magic trick.
It's look at this, look, and boom.
Yeah.
With the other hand.
That's exactly what it is, and that's why Steve Martin started off as a magician, and that's why he the art is very similar that way, and that's something that Brian Regan said is that the difference between someone who's funny at work than a pro comedian is the setup. You know what I'm saying? Because comedian's supposed to be able to get everybody to understand exactly where we are and then do the surprise.
Yes.
So
how long have you been doing stand-up?
Almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in March.
Okay.
So cool. Luckily, there's enough transferable skills from pro wrestling to comedy, because it is a little bit like that in pro wrestling as well. Like you because I've been trying to figure out how to surprise people with things that I do to inflict harm upon my body, and what surprise can I do that will also lead to me not remembering the names of my nephews in the future?
How many nephews do you have?
I have 2.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That you can't remember 2.
Yeah. Well, I had to look up on Facebook what their names were. I literally forgot it for a Sunday afternoon.
They're on Facebook?
Well, I looked at my sister's feed.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. I was
what did you name these 2? Gosh, they've been alive for 8 months. I got to go through 8 months of your feed? That's basically what I did. Because I just completely forgot.
How many concussions are you up to?
Reported or suspected? Alleged. I'm going to alleged.
Give me a high and low.
Well, I definitely know of one in Florida where I got knocked completely out. That one really fucked me up. I got to take some time off for that. But that was mostly because I also, my ear swole up because I had... Who
did that?
Believe it or not, my commentary partner for Pro Wrestling Revolver, AR Fox.
Oh, okay.
And I had a grudge against him for about a year. Rather quiet, aggressive.
A passive-aggressive grudge.
Passive-aggressive
So
grudge.
he didn't even know.
He was very... Well, part of it, the grudge was because he was oblivious to the fact that he hurt me so bad.
Okay.
But also, too, it wasn't necessarily his fault. Because his little where he runs up the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
And then does the flip.
Yes.
Well, he didn't get an up and down movement. It was really more of I take one step off this turnbuckle and then I will shoot straight into Jake's face.
Ooh.
It was instead of kind of like a big roundy thing, it was and then a straight 90 degrees off this pole into my face.
Okay.
Now, the funny things about getting knocked out, it's weird.
You get back up again.
Yeah, well, that was what happened. But you black out almost before when the actual initial thing happens. You know, so your memory, you only remember like maybe a few seconds before the initial blow happens. So all I remember is him going up like that, and I was out. But really, what happened was, and I had to look back at the tape to do this for me to kind of actually be ready to kind of like let the whole grudge go that he didn't know anything about, was that I fell backwards onto the guardrail. So actually the back of my skull landed on the foot of a guardrail.
Oh, man.
And that is what knocked me out. It was the fall, and because there was a bunch of people around and I was trying to avoid getting tangled. And what I did is I ended up bumping basically on the back, like my head on steel, and then it pounded on the concrete. And that's also how my ear got messed up. It's because it swole up like the size of a plate, you know. And basically, the fine medical staff at Full Impact Pro had 2 referees come out, one grabbed me by the wrist, the other one grabbed me by the other wrist, and just dragged me to the back and then left me there.
Nobody checked on you?
Nobody checked on it.
See, like, I watched like a lot of indie stuff, and I'm like, oh, they probably came to the back. They're usually like, I bet you there are guys that come over like, hey, like at least other wrestlers, like, hey, dude, you okay?
Drag me, drop me to the back. I was left alone. All of a sudden, I like, like just like.
Did they think you were selling or what?
I don't know. They just. I heard that they knew I was unconscious. They're going to drag me to the back.
Jesus Christ.
And it was a 10-man tag. Only problem is I was basically. The entire finish was set up for me to be in it. So all these guys are now panicking in the ring. When I wake up, I start panicking because I know this, but I don't remember what needed to happen.
You just go on autopilot? Do you remember waking up in the back?
Yeah, I remember waking up in the back, and I remember Sugar Duncanton like finally checking on me. Like I remember being on my feet and freaking out, like because I thought the next match had already happened. But then I looked out there, I was, oh no, my match is still out there, and I go, oh fuck, I gotta remember the finish.
That sounds like a nightmare. Is like you just wake up and you're like, because I hate being late to places, and like I can't imagine like looking out, my match is going on, like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was a complete nightmare, and I remember that I'm at the finish, and I'm like, I have to remember, and I couldn't remember. Like it's like when you get, I'm sure probably when you first started stand up and you were panicking, I can't remember my set.
I was just unprofessional and wrote everything down.
Me too.
Yeah,
and
I still kind of do that.
Which leads to like the tail end of the story is that I was freaking out, and then Sugar Duncan came to me and he said said something to me that was almost like a running joke that we'd said all weekend long because he was traveling with me, and all of a sudden, like everything came back. I went immediately into the ring. As Brad Attitude will attest, I looked like
it's another guy.
Yeah, he was in the match. He goes, we were trying to come up with a different finish. Then all of a sudden, zombie fucking Jake walks to the ring, tags himself in, body slams Brad, and looks around at everybody and goes, "We are fucking going home now." And then goes to the finish, completes the whole thing, and then collapses in the back. But ever since then, I have been paranoid about calling matches and remembering it, almost to the point that I've become almost utterly antisocial before a match because I'm going over it and over it and over it, because I always was very meticulous that way. But then my thought process was in the future now that in case I ever get knocked out again, that I have it that much ingrained in me that every time I go out there, because I always ingrained it as it was, and I'd be probably more relaxed right now if I didn't have that incident, but that incident made me say, no, you have to do this every time in case you ever get in the situation again, you thus must remember it. But then, and the problem with that with comedy is you're supposed to be loose, relaxed, and in the moment, and now I'm very rigid, and this are my jokes, and this is what happened. So it's... But luckily, I don't think Air Fox is going to do a dive on me anytime soon. It's at a comedy club.
Did you ever like let him know that, hey, I hated you for like a year, or?
Yeah. We had a match and we got very physical with each other, but it was like a really good match, and we were cool with it. And like, I gave him a couple stiff blows, he gave me a couple back, and we kind of squashed it all. And now, like, I see him as a friend. I see him as a guy that I like seeing. That puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, I saw him when I went up to PWX a couple months ago, and he had a really good match. Yeah. Dude is insane.
He's fun to do commentary with.
Yeah.
He's bonkers and makes no sense and says stuff that I have to like justify, Yes, and okay.
Yep. Oh, did you take any improv classes?
Yeah.
You did?
I actually did improv before I did stand up.
Oh, cool. What are you up to? Did you take like levels, like a 101, 201, 301?
Yeah, I got all the way up to like, performing and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I don't like cooperating with people, so that's a problem.
Okay, I gotcha.
I like being able to do whatever I want.
Yeah,
so.
I like their pros and cons because I do both, and like to me, improv is a lot easier because you can, if you mess up, you can rely on other people to kind of cover up for you, and it's more of a team sport. I never played any sports growing up, so I don't know why I use that analogy. But I was like, yeah, it's
like when I was, playing on a state championship football team.
It's like when I play football on PS3. Any of the footballs, the Maddens. When I play the Maddens, it's a lot like that. I control everything.
Yeah,
it's a really poor metaphor.
But you enjoy the improv.
Yes, I do enjoy improv. I'm on a couple of improv troupes in town on Wednesdays at Dead Crow. We do corporate shows. Those things pay well. A lot of it's money. Not gonna lie.
Oh, so you can make a little scratch doing
just a tiny bit of scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's better than most improv people I know.
Yeah.
But are just doing it just because.
Not doing it for the love of the game. No, not at all.
Yeah. Making that sweet improv money.
Oh yeah, making a cool 25. Really nice.
Yeah. But what you said, it's a cooperation of the people and stuff like that. But like, is there anything else about it that like? Because with me, improv, like I don't do it hardly at all anymore, just because I'm just so busy and like. But I got to learn a lot about myself and about human beings. What were some things that you pulled out of it? Maybe some like life lessons.
In high school, I was very overweight. I was a very overweight kid, and I was very antisocial. I had a hard time communicating with anybody, and it was because I was unhappy with myself. But I started losing weight towards the end of high school, came into college, and I still had trouble like communicating with people, even though I felt a little bit better about myself. So doing improv and stand-up to a degree kind of helped me shake off the stage fright I had in life. So I was able to, like, once you make a fool of yourself so much on stage, you become numb to it. Like, I have basically no shame left anymore. So that's a lesson, I guess, in some respect. I guess no shame is a poor way to put it, but it's like I
see it the same way too.
Yeah,
I
feel
spandex.
A lot more comfortable as myself. Yeah, well, that's completely different.
Yeah, but that was my base, is that I have no shame in like, this is my body, this is who I am. Like I have no problem. That was something that I learned with improv, is I have no problem looking like a fool physically.
I got you.
I doing something in a physical form that makes me look like a buffoon.
Yes.
But this is another thing I learned with improv. If I do something that makes me look like an unintelligent person, that
yes,
bothers me.
I completely agree with what you're saying. I don't like, and I think some of it's coming from a background of like kind of backwoods North Carolina. I don't like to look like I'm not intelligent. Same thing, basically.
Yeah, it's probably the same where it comes from with me. Because you probably felt like I'm the smarter person in this area because I kind of see the way the world it is. And then if you get a piece of information that you didn't know about that blindsides you, you almost get infuriated.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah, and then you get knocked in the head one time and you forget everything you've learned, and you're right back to where you were, Jake.
Yeah, exactly. Just start all the way back around. But like, how do you deal with that anger? Because that's something that I have to realize myself. Because that's how you learn. Is by you fucking make a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Or you get a huge piece of knowledge and almost getting blindsided from it. Sometimes that can be a thing to make you remind yourself never to forget that. How do you deal with that anger?
I've gotten to the point now that when I interact with most people, I realize, hey, I don't want to impress most people. I'm kind of a recluse sometimes in a social setting. Most of the time, I don't go out of my way to meet new people. I have a big personality when I'm on stage, when I'm performing, and because I do that, once I get off stage, I don't feel the need to like be the center of attention very much, especially when I meet new people. And when I see other people doing that, I'm like, I don't feel the need to talk to most people. So I'm kind of to myself.
But what about that person that's very boisterous? Because I have that same problem too.
Yeah.
Have you figured out where that comes from? I don't know why that is. Like people that have confidence in themselves, I'm like, how dare you? How dare you?
I love you, Jake. I love you. I love you. I've had the hardest time because I'm 22 years old. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing in life. None at all. I have the hardest time differentiating people that have confidence and people that have egos. They're like too big of an ego. And sometimes they go hand in hand, but for the most part, if somebody has any confidence, I basically just go, I don't want to talk to you anyway. Mm-hmm. And there are new people starting down at the comedy club that have been doing it 6 months. And to me, I'm like, okay, maybe I want to help you out a little bit. But then they'll do something that's like, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm like, fine, go ahead, fail. Mm-hmm. That's on you. And I have a hard time differentiating people that are just happy with themselves and people that have a huge ego, because I tend to put myself down a lot. I'm very self-deprecating, and that's to show people, hey, I don't think I'm better than anybody else, but that's the wrong way to go about doing it because I know it's not healthy. Mm-hmm. So when you figure it out, let me know.
Okay, so you have no clue because I
know.
I was hoping you were gonna have the answer.
No, I'm 20.
Another big thing I was searching for here, Tyler. Don't let me down. Okay,
I'm 22 years old, Jake. I have no idea what's going on with anything.
Maybe that's part of the problem. A 34-year-old man is looking to a 22-year-old like, do you have the answers? Why do I hate these type of people so much?
Oh God, that's got to be even worse in the wrestling industry.
Yep.
Yeah. It's the ego. It's almost like when you view it as an undeserved ego, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what have you done to deserve that? Mm-hmm. It's like you've really
also too, wrestling is a very fabricated thing,
right?
So you can make somebody mm-hmm. a star. You can fabricate them to have them a reputation, and I see it happen a lot. Like it's like the only reason that everybody cares about you the way that they do is because somebody else mm-hmm. allowed it to happen,
right?
You know, that's why this happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't happen in the real world, and that doesn't happen all the time. And you have to realize to yourself that this success that you have is made up.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like that, I'm sure that happens in comedy and other things and other forms of entertainment. But I feel like it happens more in pro wrestling just because pro wrestling is a fabricated event. Mm-hmm. You know, in a sense, you know, it's predetermined. We can lead you to that path about that person, and you think that person is that actual person, and that person actually thinks that is actually that.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be crazy how many layers some of those guys put up, because then they'll put up one layer that is their character that they present when they wrestle, and then there's a layer that they present as themselves backstage, and then maybe 2 or 3 layers down is who they actually are. And then have you ever like peeled somebody back that far and you realize, oh my God, you're a completely different person than even you present to people backstage? Mm-hmm. That's got to be like, it's got to be like learning wrestling isn't real again, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like every time you find out who the real person is.
Yeah, it's a scary when you find those things, and sometimes you don't even get to that of that person. Like Ric Flair, perfect example. I don't think we'll ever know exactly who that person is.
Yeah.
And if there is an actual person in there, I don't know if I would ever want to meet or be around that person.
He'd probably be like so sad. Like
yeah,
deep down.
I feel like that's what it is, and it's funny that you bring up too. There's a certain wrestler. I won't mention his name because I don't want to because I really do like this guy.
Yeah, this isn't a shoot interview.
Yeah.
Believe me, you've piqued my interest with just that.
Yeah, I'll tell you who it is afterwards. But this is
yes, I get to know.
You'll get to know. I was traveling with this one drove this one wrestler. He was legendary wrestler. He's like, hey, he's right over here. You guys, sure, great. We're bringing the ring to the show. Hop on it. And then we're going to meet up with this other guy that he regularly wrestles on occasion because they just kind of go around a circuit. And, the next day, and this guy's always been a very blowhard. Like, I got to be over here for an autograph appearance. I got to be over here for this. I got this going on here. Or you see this person over there. Oh, by the way, I was in such and such town, and somebody was here. And oh, by the way, I was in this town. And
name dropper.
Yeah. Well, not so much a name dropper, more like I was the name on the show.
I gotcha.
I was just up in Virginia, and there was 800 people in an army on a Wednesday show.
And you're like, why didn't you bring them down here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's like, clearly you're exaggerating everything that you're talking about. And it was we went out to breakfast, all four of us, and we're eating, and it's just the whole time. And of course, like, somebody came up to the table for something, and like he's like, "Oh, it's a fan." She told me went to the bathroom. She told me how big of a fan she was, and it's just like on and on and on. And he was like last in line to pay the check, and then the other, legendary wrestler was like, "God, I can't stand him when he talks like this. It's always about him, and him, and him." But see, we drove the ring, so we left the ring at the hotel, and we hopped in this other wrestler's car who's very boisterous and outgoing, and his car was like a 88 Nissan beat up piece of crap. And then I started looking around and I go, oh, if he recognized what was going on exactly in his life right now, he wouldn't be able to do what he's doing right now, and he has to do this right now to pay bills. And he's got to keep doing it, and he does, and a great job. And they're actually, he does a good thing. You know what I'm saying? He's got a good act and very reputable. People know him, and he'll go hands down as one of the best of all time. But his circumstances right now
are not great.
And he has to continue on this path because he doesn't have any other transferable skills. And it's almost a situation like he has to lie to himself to get through to this. And it's like, oh gosh. And I have seen, and now that I know that about that, you can see tints of like that sadness inside of him. You can see it come out, but then there's a certain joy. Like anytime you see him perform and it's a large crowd and he's made money at the table and he feels what he felt so long ago, you see that come out, and there's that joy. And it's like, I'm glad. And almost a situation instead of me going like, gosh, will you shut up and talk about yourself? It's like, no, I'm glad that your delusions have almost been added credibility.
It's funny that like it gets to that point where it's like he's so boisterous, so over the top that you're like, obviously you're hiding something, and it almost works to his disadvantage where he's like, oh, obviously everybody's going to be jealous of me, and you're like, no, I feel bad for you. Yeah. But
that's what the thing was, when he gets arrogant now. It's like, oh, and it's like warranted. I'm like, oh, well, good for you.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm saying? Yeah, I'm glad you got to win today.
I'll give you this one.
That you don't have to lie so hard to yourself today.
Yeah. Ooh, that's the stuff you say that like deep down kills people. like they'll hear that and go, oh no, that's the thing I'm really worried about people knowing. It's like I look weird. I know I do. My legs are disproportionate to the rest of my body. I've been in a couple of roast battles. People say stuff about me surface level all the time. It doesn't bother me anymore. It does not bother me the way I look. I mean, deep down it kind of does. But like people saying stuff about it doesn't hurt me. But like if somebody was to like get a layer down and like get at my personality and why I do certain things, I was like, ooh, that's what makes a good burn. That's what really affects people when you get down to that level.
And we all got to kind of know that about, I feel like that's our job, is to know that level of people. If we want to do, stand-up comedy or comedy in general, like we have to know that level.
Yes.
And tap that in and exploit that, and then almost expose that about ourselves. But then I feel like that's something, if we do that ourselves, that it makes us more like Teflon. Like I've put it thing that I am the most afraid for everybody to know.
Yes.
And I've said it so proudly and so vulnerably, it pulls people closer to you.
Yes. There's I fear being alone, and there's a lot of stuff that I talk about in my stand-up where it's like my last ex-girlfriend dumped me the same day that my dog died. And that was probably the worst day of my life, but I have a joke about it. And that's most of the time it makes people feel bad, but in my head when I tell it, I'm like, don't feel bad.
Yeah,
because I already had to go through it.
I like to play in those corners too, and people are like, no, that's just so sad. I'm like, no, like I'm here, I'm alive.
Yeah,
like it didn't kill me, but it is sad.
Yeah, it's a good story.
But then it's almost like a situation too. It's like I feel like not everybody has that, either puts that out there or sometimes don't even experience that.
There's some people that don't even do jokes about themselves. They'll like do a character almost, or they'll do jokes about things that they see around them, which I do jokes about things that I see around, but I also will do jokes about me because I want to have a connection with the audience, even though sometimes I hate the audience. But I do want to have a connection with them. I feel like that brings them closer. Then if somebody does heckle or something, I'm like, well, you guys are already on my side. You already kind of feel bad for me, or you at least like some of the stuff I've been doing. So,
yeah. But yeah, that's the thing is we have to pull these people closer. Sometimes we have to compromise what we say to get there. But the idea is that we want to get to a point that we're putting everything out in ourselves and everybody connects with it. But it's that layer just below. Like, yeah, I like to play in those dark corners as well. And then sometimes it's like, no, this is funny. This is funny. I think this is funny. I don't know why you guys don't think this is funny.
And there's probably some of it is that we're desensitized to it because we've talked about it so much.
Yeah.
And that's something I'll talk about my breakups over and over and over and over after they happen to the point it's like, it doesn't feel that bad anymore.
Yeah.
It's only been like 3 days, but I've talked about it like 14 different people.
Yeah. It's that I very much like you up until this last girlfriend, like the loneliness and the very dumb decisions of my life were all, based upon love and and the fight to not be lonely.
Yep.
Like every miraculously dumb thing in my life and stupid mistake was done because I didn't want to be lonely. At the end of the day.
I think that's my biggest personality flaw, if I had to be honest, is that I worry too much about not being alone. And I tend to date people that are very comfortable with themselves and they can be their own person. If push comes to shove, they're like, no, I'm going to feel a little bad that you're not around anymore, but I'm going to make it as a person, as a single person. I can be fine. I don't have to be in a relationship, which I've been single for like a year now, and I've seen girls in that time, but I miss being in a relationship. I know that deep down I still would prefer to be in one, but it's like I think I'm getting more towards being comfortable as a single person. And that's some of that's good and bad because I know that it kind of means I'm a little defeated with, I'm not as disillusioned with what a relationship is anymore. Because I was kind of a late bloomer. I didn't even have a girlfriend until I was 20.
Yeah, I didn't kiss a girl till I was 18. Kiss.
Loser.
Kiss.
I didn't hold hands with a girl until I was 20. Do I win?
Ooh, okay, you win.
Congratulations.
You win.
Yeah.
You win. I'll let you have that one.
Thank you. I don't know if I wanted to win that one, but I did.
Well, there you go. You fought for it really hard. But it's that thing though of like you talk about, and it just thinks to me with like that you just want somebody there, even though sometimes they can be comfortable themselves, but they can also be an awful person.
Yes.
Then you have to make concessions of who you are, and then you change the person you are just so they don't leave and you become lonely.
Oh
again.
no, Jake, that's where you're wrong. You see, one of my ex-girlfriends told me this is very important. People don't change.
Oh.
Yeah, she told me that, so it's very important. Keep that in mind.
Okay. Well,
if I can impart any knowledge to you, is that a young lady in her early 20s told me people don't change.
Well, she's never met a chameleon like Jake Manning, that's for sure. I'm a shapeshifter. I've been like 8 different people in the last 5 years.
Man Scout.
Yeah.
Jake Manning. What are the other ones?
Oh, Jason Feverback, which is my drunken alias.
Jesus. Jason Feverback?
Jason Feverback.
Okay. All right. That's 3.
When that guy starts calling, we better run away.
Yeah, that sounds like a scary ass name. That sounds like a razorback that's come into human form. Mm-hmm. Just a wild boar. Is that what you do?
Yeah, it'd be like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle rejected villain, like something they would have had in the later years of the comics, or like the later years of the cartoon, shortly after Rat Fink. And then some of the other ones that they had. So
okay,
in that era, evil human being.
You don't strike me as somebody that gets like shit faced very often.
Not anymore. That was a big problem too. Is I have a very obsessive personality, and I like to fill that hole. Luckily now, I filled that hole with work and other projects. I find myself to also be very similar. Like, why am I saying this? Of course you know this. X-Men Days of Futures Past.
Yes.
With Professor Xavier.
Yes.
And he took the serum that made him walk again, but dulled his powers. That's how I feel about alcohol, is that alcohol, like...
It makes you more sociable. It makes you more personable.
Not even so much sociable and personal. It just slows down the thinking that's in my brain.
Oh, you're so manic in there that it kind of, okay, all right.
And I can't focus it, or it's like I have a project. That's why I have 4 podcasts. It's like, that's a good idea. Should do it. That's a good idea. Should do it. And then all of a sudden, I don't have enough time to do it. Well, I got to focus. And it's like every second. And it's like, I got to get up in the morning. I got to do this. You know, it just even like last night, I had 2 hours. After working a full day at the office, after doing everything I had to do and all these things and fill out these lists and taking care of the million things I had to take care of. And then like, okay, I have 2 hours before I have to go to sleep and then get back up. And then I'm like, okay, because I just finished doing podcast stuff. And then all of a sudden I got to do this. And like, I couldn't sit down for 15 minutes. It took me, and then I even stayed up later because I was working on something else. So it's like, it took me 2.5 hours to watch 1 hour episode of a TV show.
Because you not be
pause,
paying attention.
And come back, whatever. And then all of a sudden I look at my phone. Oh, this guy, I got to take care of this. Oh, I forgot to send this email. I better just send this email now. They don't need to hear back from me for another 3 weeks, but I'll do it right now. So I'm thinking about it.
That's smart though. That's that's the trade-off. It's like,
I'm getting a lot of stuff done, but it's a situation of like my brain never shuts off. Where like the old Jake would have like rushed to get everything done, made sure they left 5 hours available to just completely shut his brain off. To drink alcohol and just zone out and just focus on getting myself fucked up, and then my brain shuts off, and then I can only think about like, oh, am I hungry? Was this movie good? You know, and just it dulls everything. Where if I'm not, it's like you said, it's manic, it's crazy.
I wish I feel like I'm kind of the same way. I don't drink. I've never drank. I don't know really how that affects your body from a first person perspective, but a lot of my friends drink, and sometimes I do think like, you're having such a better time than me right now. Maybe I should just drink and just like say, fuck it. But then like a lot of my friends are, because I mostly just hang out with comedians, are borderline alcoholics. And it's like, if I had someone to emulate that was maybe just a moderate drinker, possibly. Because I have a similar thing where I kind of just overthink stuff way too much. Like I have the hardest time like cold approaching women, just like going up to them, talking at a bar or what have you. And it's like, maybe if I just drank, I'd calm myself down enough, realize it's not a huge deal, and go out and talk to them.
Yeah, but then that person that you've created is now fabricated.
Exactly.
Doesn't exist.
Well, the person I was going to go in with is fabricated as well. Everything's fabricated. Yeah. This persona I'm putting on with you is a big fabricated. It's too many layers.
Yep. It's not who you actually are. And you see people do that and you acknowledge it right away. Yeah. And obviously you putting that out there, they're going to recognize as well. And it's counterintuitive. Yeah. It's backwards.
And see, this is the exact problem. This is what's going on in my head. And it's like, it's not genuine. That's what also goes on in my head. Just a lot of screaming, a lot of frustrated.
Fist clenching.
Yes.
For sure. But yeah, that's a thing too. Like that was always my thing too, is I need this to communicate with people.
Yes.
And that became a crutch for a very long time. And now it wasn't until like, oh gosh, when was that party? It might have been a year ago.
One party?
Well, there was one party about a year ago that I went to that I didn't have one drink at.
Okay.
Like I still have a drink every once in a while.
Yeah.
Just because I like the taste of beer, it's just I miss it, I like it, but now it's to the point like, like sometimes you hear like there's those alcoholics have to take this pill and it makes them sick when they have alcohol. That's how I feel now because
I've seen the Jake the Snake documentary.
Yeah, I don't know if I have naturally am producing that right now or whatever's going, but that's the way I am right now. That anything more than 3 and I feel awful, so I can't do it anymore. Also, too, like I quit cold turkey for 20 days straight because I wanted abs, and that was the thing. My vanity became my new obsession for a short period of time.
That's how I lost the weight in high school. Yeah. I skipped meals. Just would eat only like 500 calories a day. Works fantastic.
Yeah. When you let that vanity take over, but then there's a situation you can't maintain that forever.
Oh God, no. That's why I'm back up to this. I've put on like 40 pounds since I moved down here 4 years ago. 10 pounds a year. But it's like at this point now, it's like, I've got enough personality to work with that I can be a little pudgy.
Well, I mean, you're tall. You can wear it a little bit better than most people.
It's weirder looking. It's a little bit weirder looking. It's We all have our own body image issues, Jake.
Listen, there are times where I'm like, oh, I look fat. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have those thoughts.
What are you, a woman? What are you doing?
Well, my tiny woman brain just won't let me believe that I'm skinny.
Does this singlet make me look fat? Does this... Do these small khakis?
I made sure that I had a black singlet so it could look more slimmer. Okay, that's what I'm
Even
wearing.
though most of your body's showing?
Yeah, even though most of my body's showing. Exactly. So, but yeah, that's the thing is that, I at a party was the first time I ever had a drink without, like, and that was like a big step for me. And the key was I had to be social. And I told myself this is like, you have to go to this party and not use alcohol as a crutch to talk to these people, because there's a lot of Charlotte comedians there. And I'd known most of them for about a year, but we hadn't been like talking that much because I've been holding back and stuff like that. Because my persona to people in comedy, like, they don't know the alcoholic monster I was. They don't know the complete and utter asshole I was in wrestling locker rooms. They see me as a wonderful, polite, positive thinking individual, kind of quiet and non-alcoholic. Like, that's what they think and they perceive. So I had to become a better version of myself and then portray that as well. But I feel like it's closer to who I want to be. It may not be exactly who I am, but it's what I would like to land at.
And that's a trade-off between is what you want to portray to people, does it bother you that it's kind of manufactured? And then on the other hand, it's fake it until you make it. It's like, if you do it enough, eventually you can shift into being something else. Yeah. And that's good, and it's scary, because are you being true to yourself when you're doing that?
Well, I always feel like it is you want to get a certain end result. Like for you, obviously, it's like I would like to get out and be able to talk to a woman just straight out cold. Like, how do you get to those steps to being that person? Like, I've always wanted to be that life of the party, but at the same time too, like when I get in front of those people, I'm afraid, like, what if I say the wrong thing? Yeah. But like, how do I get to those steps in those places?
And then you don't want to be the guy with that's super outgoing that
we were talking about. We hated before.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're that guy.
Then you've become the monster that you were trying to fight. And then I think that's how the movie ends. Yeah. I think when you finally become that guy that you hated so much, and then it's roll credits. It's not a happy ending, but it's an ending. Yeah. I mean, it's workable. You know, I mean, we need some rewrites, but that's the gist of it.
And we could probably get Ryan Gosling to do it. Maybe Gerard Butler. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see who's available.
Yeah. Who's your most handsome leading male in Hollywood? Okay. How do you not have this queued up?
Well, I mean, like, Gosling was the thing that popped in my fucking
head. Okay, so he's your number one?
I would say so. Like I felt like in Drive, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was very much like, when I tell people about Drive, like, people went gaga over it. I'm like, yeah, but he's, as far as acting goes, like, he's really more of the Ultimate Warrior. Okay. Because like he had all these fantastic like actors around him, like propping him up, like Ron Perlman, Albert Brooks, Bryan Cranston. Like, yeah, of course the movie's fantastic because you have those guys around, just this pretty guy who's not saying anything. Like, granted, it's a nuanced performance on saying anything, but also too, it makes me question his mental capacity. So like, but
he's very handsome.
Very handsome. And I look nothing like him whatsoever. So it's a level of handsomeness that I could never achieve.
Oh God, do you have a celebrity lookalike?
I mean, with a goofy face like this, that's kind of hard.
It's not that bad.
No, but like I Tom Hardy from the movie Bronson probably pops to mind.
Okay, I got you.
Like, that movie was the reason I kept this mustache.
Okay,
this was all a joke.
Okay,
so, but I'd probably say that would be the closest.
I was trying to imagine I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the preview for it on Netflix, and I was like, yeah, you got a little ways to go before you get his pecs. There's a little bit to go. Yeah,
there's he has time to work out like that. Like, he's like, okay, my job is I work out 5 hours today to get ready for this movie role. That
I'd probably be in shape if it was my job.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. But I have to do a job and be in shape is the problem. So, what about you? What's your most handsome leading man?
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to break down his acting ability. He's just a handsome guy.
We didn't say who's your favorite actor, for Christ's sake. We said who's the most handsome man in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Favorite Avenger, Thor. Hands down.
I should have said Chris Evans. I'm a Captain America guy.
Oh, well, there you go.
So,
well, it's basically the same guy as Ryan Gosling. It's just that Chris Evans has more of a personality.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit more. Probably a little more outgoing. Probably have a beer with Chris Evans than I would Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling would probably want like Fiji water, but actual water from Fiji, as opposed to Fiji.
Fuck that guy. Yeah. No, already just no. Yeah. Chris. Oh God, Ryan Gosling, terrible. Ugh.
He's probably one of those type people.
Probably is. He is. Let's go ahead and make
every assumption.
We're never going to meet him.
Let's commit slander, my friend, and when we're done, we'll write something up and commit libel as well.
Perfect. I love it.
But we've been at it almost an hour, my friend. Just rolling around here. We circled back around.
So we tied up some loose ends.
But basically, this podcast is all set up to get to this one question right here.
Oh, God.
This right here. This is the $1 million question. So basically, we have a conversation for however long and talk about all kinds of things to get you loosened up to this idea right here. And it kind of ties to what we got going on here.
Okay.
It is.
Do you want a hand job?
Yes, and I want it videotaped, then I'm gonna put it on. I'm gonna put it on YouTube and see if it gets pulled down.
Okay,
that's the thing. Most everybody said no. That's why the podcast keeps going. So if you want to be the first guy to say yes,
we're ending it. What number is this gonna be?
This is gonna be probably 93, 94,
93, 94. Year I was born. It's the year it ends.
I thought I was gonna make 100, but no, I guess not.
You can put this off, still make some more before it, and then just push this off to the special 100th episode.
That can be. Make this 101, so I get that 100. You're 101.
Perfect.
Ends. YouTube's like you can't put hand jobs on YouTube. Which now that I think about it, I want to see if I can put it.
See what you can get away with.
Let's record it and hit the upload button. See what happens.
Okay.
All right. You may have changed the end of this whole podcast.
Strange hand jobs in a strange land.
Yeah, exactly.
Strange hand jobs in a southern land.
Strange hands in a southern land.
Sorry, what was the actual question?
What was the actual question? Actual question. I talked to people from different walks of life. Like we talked before off camera. I've talked to Humpy Wheeler. I've talked to Steve, I'll be talking to Steve Carina here pretty soon.
Caleb Conley,
Cedric Alexander, Bravado Brothers, Sammy Callahan, Taylor Hendricks, also Nick Alexander, Clint Knorr, a bunch of other comedians as well, and improv people and politicians. And, basically I ask him this question, and it's more of a topic than anything else. It's the idea of success. What does it mean to you? What are your thoughts when I say the word success? Do you have it clearly defined in your head? Is it something you work towards every day? Is there a dollar amount attached to it? Do you feel like it's ever achievable? And do you think if you do achieve it, will you be happy? What are your thoughts when I say the word success?
That's a great question. Success for me, because I'm a comedian, that means I have a few different layers to it. First one is... it's kind of what I'm working towards next year. I'm going to be touring in the first part of the year. I'm working towards doing more shows outside of town and just as a more structured thing. Beyond that, like a little bit longer term goal, I want to make comedy my number one source of income, because right now it is not even number two. It's like number three behind. I was in a haunted house this month that made more money than comedy. Oh. Only made like $100 doing that, and it's like
big haunted house scratch.
Oh
you got
God,
going on.
It was fun. I hate people, and I scared so many of them. It was pretty good. Beyond that, beyond making it my full-time job, I'd like to make a name at it. Like maybe get some writing credits on a show. This is like way down the line, and then eventually, hopefully, end goal. But this one isn't really. This is like what everybody hopes for. I get fuck you money for it. It's like I am just filthy rich, but that one's a bit ridiculous. I mean, it's something to strive for.
That's when you get all the credibility and all the things. I'm like, okay, because you got to keep working towards something.
Yes.
You can't get the fuck you money right away.
Exactly.
Then you don't know where to go. So
exactly.
It's like I get this, I get the credibility, I get this thing. Now, how do I get fuck you money?
That is I'll let you know. You're the first one on the list. As soon as it's like I'll call you up and I'm like, Jake, it happened. I got the exact amount that means fuck you money. It's a percentage thing, and I got it. Never talk to me again. And then I hang up the phone.
Hence,
Fuck you money. Exactly.
And, yeah, it's 6 steps. It's one less steps than being an alcoholic.
Yep.
And I have to go around and tell everybody, fuck you.
Even the people I like. It's like, hey, what's up, Roy Cooper? He's going to be our next governor. Hey, what's up, Roy Cooper? Fuck you. And then that's not making a campaign donation because that's my money.
Yeah, because it's fuck
and then I become Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that works.
Yeah,
I try to keep as much of the money as I can. Will that make me happy? Probably not. I don't think I'll be sad at that point. It's not based on the money. It's based on other factors in my life. Like I said, the number one thing that probably is my downfall is that I am afraid of being alone. So if I'm not alone at the time, I'll probably be happy, even if I don't have fuck you money. But I doubt it's going to be the money that's going to make that difference. Mm-hmm. And then whether or not I can do professional wrestling related things. That's coming along with the fuck you money. I'm going to start my own promotion. I have ideas.
Well, listen, if you get a writer's credit, I'm sure you could write for Monday Night Raw real easily.
There's upsides and downsides. If
Freddie Prinze Jr. can write on Raw, is that what the next thing you're going to say?
I don't know. I don't know if I would want to write on Raw because it's one of those weird things. Like sometimes people that aren't comedians hang around with the comedians, but they're trying a little too hard. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what I would do if I was a writer backstage. If I was ever let backstage in a wrestling locker room, I wouldn't know what to do. Like I still get starstruck. Like I met Joey Ryan when I went up to PWX, and I was like, oh, I've met Ron Funches, I've met Matt Bronger, a couple of my favorite comedians. I didn't make an ass of myself. I went up to Joey Ryan, I was like, hey sir, how are you? I was like, God damn it. I still get starstruck with wrestlers.
Wait a minute, where's this coming from?
Can I have your lollipop? Oh, I got to tell you the story.
Please.
First time, my favorite wrestler of all time, Sami Zayn, El Generico. Okay. Favorite all time. I got to meet him in 2010. I think it was October 23rd, 2010. Jacksonville. You were on the show.
Yes, I was.
Yes.
Wrestled him that night.
Yeah.
Oof.
I
remember putting that match together. That was like pulling teeth.
I was. Because I heard him on a podcast how hard he is to kind of like sit down and be like, hey, can we just do this? And he's like, yeah, but what if we do this?
Yeah. Which Kevin Steen and everybody else say right decision.
Yep.
Just wish we would have made this right decision not 5 minutes before we go out there. If we came up with this like an hour ago. Great call.
Yep.
But let's not fight for an hour.
Yep.
And then literally like 2 minutes before we go out there, I'm like, I don't know exactly what we're doing anymore.
Meeting him like around 2010, I had just started watching Ring of Honor, and far and away I knew he was like my favorite wrestler, just like pure personality. And I was like, holy shit, he's coming like not even 15 minutes from my hometown. I get to go see him. I ordered from High Spots. I still have it somewhere. It might be in my car. I have my El Generico support mask. Mm-hmm. I've got my El Generico shirt. I'm pumped. I'm this pudgy 10th grade kid. I get to meet my wrestling idol. I put the mask on. I'm shaking a little bit. I have my buddy there. He's going to take pictures for me. I'm like, hey, man, we're going to go meet El Generico. You take a picture? He's like, yeah, sure. I put the mask on. I got long, greasy hair, so like some of it's sticking out of the eye holes. Mm-hmm. Somehow the string from the back is like sticking out of the eye hole, dangling. But
so you're in full support.
Oh, I am
in your support mask.
Oh my! As I'm saying this, you're imagining people you've seen at wrestling shows like this, aren't you?
Listen,
we're fucking dime a dozen.
I always tell people, thank you for being a fan, and I fully mean it. And especially if you're going to look like that and be out in public,
yes.
Man, I thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And this is back when I was a little bit bigger. I was probably at 260.
Oh wow,
that's my heaviest.
I was on my way to 260 at the time myself. Woo! I remember being a little bit chunkier.
I remember that match. That was.
I was a little Arn Anderson-ish.
Generico almost pulled his back on a Michinoku driver. That was.
I bet. I bet it was hard adjusting to being that big.
I was so big at one point. This is going back a little bit. Like when I saw Ric Flair a couple years before that, I went to get in the ring and I had the fat guy syndrome where my pants sag a little bit down past my ass crack.
Mm-hmm. So it's always the pulling up.
Yep. And I met Daphne and we got to take pictures with her in the ring. And I go to get in the ring and they take the picture and I get out. My dad later is like, hey, your ass crack was out and you're getting in the ring, right? And I was like, oh, damn it, Dad.
In front of everybody.
Daphne saw it. Damn it.
Well, her ass crack is out too.
That's worry. Completely different. Hers is not as hairy as mine. A little hairy, but not as hairy.
I could look that up for you if you want. I know some people.
What kind of tapes do you have?
Yeah, well, I've got inside sources.
Okay, please do. I want to hear about that. So
I'll get back to you.
We're back to El Generico. I've got the string hanging out of my support mask, got the hair out. I've got my glasses on over top of the mask, just waddling over. 260 pounds, 6'4". Come up to El Generico. He's got to be like, what, 6'1"? 6 feet, 6'1".
Yeah, he's deceptively taller than what you think.
So he's smaller than me still. And I'm like, I lumber over to him. I'm like, hey, hello, sir. And I was like, can I get a picture? And he's like, sure.
He was like, see.
He was like, see. And then he's like, oh, one moment. And he's like trying to fix the string that I have hanging out of my eye hole.
He's
such a nice dude.
Sweetheart.
And then he's like, oh, this poor motherfucker. This. Oh, God. He is obviously a huge fan, but Jesus Christ, he
has no parents.
He is a blob of unsuredness about himself.
His parents are taking care of the children, and he's not one of them.
So I've got this string hanging out. He goes, one moment, trying to fix it, and then I go, don't you mean un momento? And he goes, sure.
Kid, we know the dance we're playing. I did the C. You know, that was good enough. Do you want full Spanish? Come on.
But don't worry, I went over 2 more times that night and did not make that much of a fool of myself again.
Oh, you creeping around him too?
He's my favorite wrestler, dude.
Of course.
Of course I was creeping around him. And Paul London was over there at one point. I got a picture with him. Him and Generica. What? You know what?
No, every time I think of Paul, like, God, what a crazy, like.
Oh, dude.
During that time of Paul London,
because they were PWG tag champions at the time.
Yeah, and Paul London as an individual, like, I saw him at a convention one time. I saw like the crowd part for him, and I heard people like, and I was like kind of a little bit behind him because we were going up to go film something, or I was walking him over to an appearance, and he was just walking with over high spots, and I was a little bit behind, and so I heard people go, "That's Paul London. He's fucking crazy." I mean, it's probably what it was like if Sabu walked by in '93.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, he had that level of just like, who the fuck is this guy?
And he was so nice too.
Yeah, he's
like,
a fucking great dude.
Genuine. Like, to this day, I could probably say he is the most personable stranger I've ever met. Yeah. And I know it's a little bit of a different circumstance because he was like, I was a fan. He was signing autographs and stuff, but like he comes across as the most genuine person.
Looks you in the eye, talks to you, hears, remembers.
Yes,
and he's
it's
there,
amazing.
present.
Yes,
present.
Absolutely. So I got a picture with them, and then after their match, I got another picture with them. So I got like 2 or 3 pictures. I met him 2 or 3 times, just in that one night. But Paul London was a great dude. I got a couple of 8x10s from him. And on one of them, he drew the Planner's Peanut guy for no reason. I'm like, that pretty much sums this up. I like that.
That's him. That's Paul London for
to this day, my favorite wrestling show I've ever been to, my favorite wrestling memories. And you were a part of it.
Oh, I'm glad we can make that happen.
Yeah.
I wish we could have done that more often, but my boss was like, "Oh, there's not enough people here." I think there's more than enough people here.
Yeah, I think I kept emailing you guys like once a month, like, "Hey, when are you guys coming back? Hey, when are you guys coming back?" So if you had to respond to any of those, I
might have had to, maybe once or twice.
Yeah, you guys quit responding after like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I still did it for like 6 months. And I was like,
that's a should.
They're gonna come back, right? You're gonna come back.
Yeah, we had. I think it was like maybe like 600 people there, 400.
There was
there were several hundred.
For a few moments there, it was just me and El Generico. Okay. That's all it was.
It was several hundred for sure. But my boss was like expecting 2,000.
Jesus.
That
was ridiculous.
Yeah, because like Hermie Sadler ran there one time with a TNA show, and almost did 2,000 the first time, and then I think it was 800 the next time, and I think we did 600, and then my boss like, "This is an utter failure. This town is dead." Like,
did he not make money, or did he just see it on a decline?
Well, he overbooked it a little bit, but he thought overbooking it would warrant more people to show up.
Brian was going to be on that show. Daniel Bryan was going to be on that show originally, and he had to pull out, and that was, and I was like, but still. Generico. Brian's like my second or third favorite all time. Yeah. So that's, you win some, you lose some.
Exactly.
I'd take Generico over Brian any day. It's a little personal thing. I also got to meet Shelton Benjamin that night. He was cool. Yeah. Ish. I mean, he was kind of,
He knows he's the best. And if you don't, he'll tell you.
Yeah. He's He didn't have blonde hair at the time.
He's definitely what the guy that we were talking about before to bring it all the back around to put a nice little bow in the conversation. He's that guy.
Shelton Benjamin's that guy.
He's that guy. That's like, God, man. Well, anyways, Tyler, before we get off of here, it is very important that you let people know how they can get in touch with you. You talk about you're going to be touring around at the beginning of the year. How can people find out about that? How can they touch with you, get in contact with you?
I have a Twitter at Tyler W. Wood. I also have an Instagram at Stylerwood, which is just my name with an S in front of it. Friend me on Facebook if you feel so inclined. Other than that, I have a website. comediantylerwood.wordpress.com. Very professional. That shows you how much money I'm making at comedy, that I can take all my profits, turn around to a website.
A WordPress.
WordPress. That shit's free. Other than that, if you're ever in Wilmington, check out deadcrowcomedy.com. We have stuff down there every Tuesday through Saturday. I'm on every Wednesday with improv, 2 or 3 shows. And every Thursday, I'm on the best open mic we have in Wilmington. And I'm basically the house MC at Dead Crow. I'm the one that hosts the most often. So I'm usually hosting like once a month down there. So that's all my stuff.
Sounds fantastic. Well, thank you very much for sitting down and talking.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for inviting me on. Good luck with going back towards my hometown.
With life.
I will never see you again. I expect that fuck you money soon.
Okay. I'll work on that.